everyone, it's Nicole and welcome back to the next installment of 3 books like. Today I'm going to recommend you books that are similar in their feel, characters or topics to Undead Girl Gang by Lily Anderson. Undead Girl Gang is a contemporary fantasy, which means it has more contemporary elements than fantasy elements. It's set in a contemporary world and has some magic. The story follows a girl named 𝕊𝕆𝕆𝕂𝕊 whose best friend Riley just killed herself. But 𝕊𝕆𝕆𝕂𝕊 doesn't want to believe it, she doesn't believe the police, and she wants to investigate the case herself. Before the tragic incident happened, both 𝕊𝕆𝕆𝕂𝕊 and Riley were very into 𝕊𝕆𝕀𝕑, they believe that magic exists, and afterwards 𝕊𝕆𝕆𝕂𝕊 decides to cast a spell and bring Riley back to life. Surprisingly, it works. So this novel has zombies and witches and a lot of other magical shenanigans, and it also has a fantastic Latinx and fat positive representation. This is a story that has a very young, fun feel, and these are all the things that I'm going to base my recommendations on. The first book that I want to recommend has a lot of similar ingredients, and it is packaged in the same CW network TV show wrapping. It is This Witches Don't Burn by Isabel Sterling. In my opinion, both of these stories have a similar tone. They are both very light and fun. They are both about teenagers that have powers, and they both have a lot of teenage drama / teenage romance. This Witches Don't Burn follows a character named Hannah, who is an elemental witch and who comes from a family of witches. She's trying to get over her ex-girlfriend because prior to the main events of this story, they went to New York and they got in trouble with other magical folk, and her ex-girlfriend played a huge part in that. Hannah is trying to get past it. She starts a new year and she develops a crush on the new girl in their town, and all of the teenage drama happens on the backdrop of a magical crisis that is happening in their town, in eliminating of which Hannah has to play a huge role. This is such a light and airy novel. I flew through it. It has all the entertaining parts of teenage paranormal TV shows and a magical system that doesn't need to be explained, and sometimes, even if you're deep into fantasy, you need to let your brain relax. I really enjoyed it. I found it very entertaining, and I do think that in its tone and vibe, it is very similar to Undead Girl Gang. The second book that I want to recommend isn't set in a contemporary world. It is actually set in a magical school, but it still feels very contemporary fantasy. It is 𝕊𝕋𝕋 by Rachel Hawkins, and I have to say that it reads a bit younger, but I still find a lot of similarities with Undead Girl Gang, and I found this novel overall very enjoyable. Rachel Hawkins is known for very light and digestible novels. Reading her novels is always a good time, and she always tends to incorporate private school settings into her novels, which tends to be a thing that I like in books. This is a story about Sophie, whose mother is a normal human and whose father is a warlock. She discovers her powers at prom night accidentally and does a terrible job of controlling herself, so her distant father steps in and sends her to a reform school for magical beings, 𝕊𝕋𝕋. 3 years later, she's settled at 𝕊𝕋𝕋, she has friends and a crush on a hot warlock, but suddenly someone starts attacking students and she has to take a part in the investigation because the school administration accuses her lesbian vampire roommate. We stan lesbian vampire roommates on this channel. It's a very cool book that is set in a fun place and that has a lot of magical shenanigans and adventures. I do think that despite it being young adult, it reads a little bit middle grade, and it's probably because the book was written quite a bit ago when young adult was still a very baby genre. I do recommend it even if you are not that much into middle grade, because it's a good break from all the dark, gritty young adult fiction that comes out right now. The last book that I want to recommend is an oldie but a goodie. It is The Demons Lexicon by Rees Brennan. Rees Brennan was one of the first authors that started writing paranormal fantasy series for young adults, and she has a lot of backlist series that no one talks about on booktube. The story follows Nick and Alan, who were on the run for most of their life from witches and demons. Their mother had stolen a very powerful charm and these people want it back. They cannot rely on their mother anymore even though she's alive because she's out of her mind, and they don't know much about their father because he wasn't very present in their life. So they have to fend for themselves even though they don't know everything about this supernatural world. The best pitch for this book that I can give you is it's a young adult supernatural. If you're a fan of the show, I think you're going to enjoy the book. It's a pretty fast-paced novel about brothers that are on the run, about them encountering magical beings and dealing with them. It has some interesting relationship dynamics, family dynamics. I think a lot of people, even when they encounter this book on Goodreads, for example, skip it because the cover is so ugly. In my humble opinion, this novel has to be repackaged because it aged well. I read it a couple of years ago and I really liked it. It's pretty modern, it's fun, and it's a good time. So these are 3 books that I can recommend you if you were into Undead Girl Gang by Lily Anderson. In the comments down below, tell me about other books that are similar to Undead Girl Gang, and if you don't have any recommendations and you watched till this point of this video, just leave me a rainbow emoji and I'll know that you're watching. I guess this is it. Thank you for visiting my channel and watching this video. I hope to see you soon with another one. But until then,